Hello there, good morning and welcome to GA Today News here on GHOne Television. My name is Obed, Gaglo. Here are top stories for this morning. Coming up this morning, convener of coalition against illegal mining engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe threatens legal action over government amendment of LI 2462 instead of full revocation. And later in the bulletin, new job in South MP, Michael Chibefi urges government to engage exporters and manufacturers over US 10% tariffs, warns of potential business collapse. We have details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Do stay. Thanks for choosing us this morning. Remember, the bulletin is streaming on our social media handles at GHOne TV on Facebook and also on X. Now to our first story. The resistance against government's decision to deport rather than prosecute foreign nationals involved in illegal mining activities continue to intensify, with many calling for the immediate reversal of the policy. This directive was first announced by the Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak during an engagement with the Ashanti Regional Police Command, where he stressed that government is not interested in prosecuting foreign nationals involved in fraud or illegal mining. Instead, the focus is on deporting those engaged in galamsey, which has caused widespread environmental degradation across the country. Let's hear from the minister.
Just last year alone, 2024, over 7,000 Chinese sought residence in our country. Over 8,000 Indians sought residence in our country. As they troop in to do business, we should also know that many of them too may be coming with criminal money. Many of them are into our forests. Many of them are cutting our trees unlawfully. Others are involved in galamsey activities and many other crimes. We have resolved as a new policy that for two things, you in our forests, whether doing galamsey or cutting our trees unlawfully, getting yourself into fraud activities, that's whether using computer or other fraud activities. For these two crimes, when we arrest any foreigner, we are not interested in prosecuting them. Our first option is to take them back to their country.
However, pro-environmentalists are raising concern that deportation alone may not address the root causes of illegal mining. Executive Director of Eco-Conscious Citizens, Awolasewa, has demanded the immediate reversal of this policy. Let's hear from Awolasewa.
The president, who in less than 100 days, specifically 82 days, gave a promise of revoking the e-levy act, was able to do it. That president, seeing, the fact that Ghanaians are saying he himself made a promise, he cannot now go and be taking, his own spit and take it.
See, if somebody is involved in environmental terrorism, destroying your forest reserves, poisoning the water bodies in the landscape, and what you are saying is that you can come to Ghana, do this. When we catch you, we just pay for your fare to go back to your country. No prosecution. You don't spend any time in jail. There's no restitution. All you do is that you go back to your country. And we all know how our borders are. We know what happened in the case of GHOne. So probably you can come back, maybe under a different name or whatever. I'm struggling to understand what kind of deterrence this will be. Terribly, we know the fact that GHOne managed to come back. But you see, if you want a deterrent, you need something to happen to them that will be so terrible that they will not contemplate coming. But what you are telling them is that they can come, because the worst case scenario if they are caught, is that they will take their fare to go back to their country. So where is the deterrent? We all know that people believe that so much money can be made from mining gold. That is why there's the gold rush. People are rushing there, and Ghanaians themselves are involved and complicit. So if you want to stop it, I keep on saying I'm struggling to understand how merely deport, and it's also going against the law, because the Lands and Minerals Act clearly states that those caught should be prosecuted. So to the idea that I'm not going to prosecute them because I want to save money, it doesn't stand scrutiny from where I'm sitting. Backlash made it clear that Ghanaians thought this was totally irresponsible. Somebody has come, has poisoned our landscape, and we can see the rise in kidney disease. So just as Ghanaians were incensed in the case of GHOne, they are incensed to hear that you don't intend to prosecute them, you just intend to send them back to their country. And I believe the Attorney General would advise the minister that it's unlawful. He needs to prosecute them. So I believe it will be reconsidered.
Let's stay a while on Galamsey issues. As the convener of the coalition against Galamsey, Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe has warned the coalition is considering legal action against government's decision to amend LI 2462 instead of an outright revocation. His reaction comes after Lands Minister Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa gave assurances that the amendment of LI 2462 is tied to an ongoing process to amend the Minerals and Mining Act 2003. Reacting to his comment, Dr. Ashigbe challenged the minister's remark on the LI, stressing that President John Dramani Mahama promised to revoke the LI, and yet, after winning the elections, his administration has signaled to rather amend it. Currently, the coalition has gathered over 2,000 signatures for a petition to the presidency to rescind a decision to amend the LI instead of an outright revocation.
The president who, in less than 100 days, specifically 82 days, gave a promise of revoking the E-Levy Act, was able to do it. That president, seeing, the fact that Ghanaians are saying he himself made a promise, he cannot now go and be taking, his own spit and eating it back. He made this promise to Ghanaians, and we voted for him based on all of these promises. So he cannot, at this stage, be going back on his word. Things that he has even said when he came back to Parliament, came back to power, that he was going to repeal this particular act. It would be an act of political dishonesty if the president does not go according to his words. So we would hold the president to it. We continue to encourage all Ghanaians to make sure that we don't have to go to court to go and litigate this.
Right.
But we should litigate it in the court of public opinion. Let's all sign this petition. We will print all of it and give it to the president. The president should bear in mind, when the Etiwa forest thing happened and the petitions were collected, the former president that we all blame that did not do well with fighting Galamsey, he acceded to the call of Ghanaians. That former president, Nana Addo, that we said did not do well with fighting Galamsey, he had an instrument to go and revoke this particular petition. If the minister says the president is a listening president, definitely a revocation is what ought to be done.
Now, still on this issue, Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, Daro Boso, has vehemently kicked against government's proposed amendment to the legislative instrument 2462, warning that it could lead to widespread destruction of the country's forests. Speaking on News Tonight, he highlighted the risk associated with the amendment, stressing the need for full protection of all forest reserves. According to Mr. Boso, the original version of LI 2462 was passed in 2022 without proper consultation with key stakeholders, including industry players, environmental groups, and the general public. The law permitted mining in both protected and production forest reserves, removing previous restrictions that had limited mining to only 2% of production forest reserves.
You take out the fact that there are several other provisions within the LI that need to be amended. And I heard the minister say that there are several provisions in which they are taking a quick step to really amend this particular one. See, when you amend this particular regulation 32, it can only guarantee security for 10% of Ghana's forest reserves. But there are some other provisions in the LI which reason we have seen that it needs to be taken out entirely, because then if you do the repeal, you have to guarantee protection for nothing less than 50% of Ghana's forest reserves. But at this moment, we feel betrayed because, as we rightly said, we were in the campaign with the president and all of that, and we expected him to keep his word to really repeal this airline, and not doing so and going ahead to amend it without listening to all the calls for location is for us to declare. But it's like Ken said, we are still petitioning His Excellency, and we believe that in due course and very soon, there have not been any excuses or any explanation. All we know is that they are moving to take away power from the president. That was one of the problems, but not the major problem with the airline. And that is why we are still very relentless and insistent that the whole airline is given a review to be repealed. Otherwise, they are just going around in circles, and we are still going to leave the mischief there for people to have access to many sectors.
Now, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, has once again made a controversial statement in the fight against illegal mining, revealing that since he assumed office, he has not seen a single drone which the previous administration procured to monitor illegal mining activities. Government, among others measures in addressing the Galamsey menace, has revoked all mining licenses granted after December 7 and has placed a temporary ban on the community mining scheme. My colleague Prince Asian has the rest of the story.
On July 11, 2018, then Deputy Minister for Lands, George Mrekuduka, announced that the Akufo-Addo-led government had procured over 200 drones to assist the government in its fight against illegal mining across the country. The machines were to be used to take live images in districts where the practice is rampant. The previous government also revealed some 150 persons were trained in how to operate them at the George Grant University of Mines and Technology at Takwa in the Western region. About 7 years since that announcement, the drones can't be traced. Speaking at Staff Deba in Accra during a visit to the Minerals Commission office, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, shockingly revealed he has not seen a single drone procured by the previous administration since he assumed office over 60 days ago.
Using modern technology is very critical in this work. And I think from here I'm going to see some geofencing activities you guys have done here and see how we can even make it bigger and expand it. Yes, there was reports of drones and other things. We interministerial committee, but I can tell you that it's probably part of the things we are looking at.
Let's move away from issues related to illegal mining and head to the courts, as Ghana's Solicitor General Helen Akpene Awuziwu has revealed that significant steps are being taken to enhance the enforcement of judgment from the ECOWAS Community Courts of Justice. Although ECOWAS decisions are not binding on member states, she noted that some judgments have been enforced in Ghana despite the country not yet rectifying its protocol for full compliance. The Solicitor General made this announcement during the opening session of a training program aimed at enhancing the capacity of attorneys to understand the ECOWAS court rules, procedures, and practices. Our legal affairs correspondent, Mutala Inusa, has more in this report.
Office of the Attorney General, in collaboration with the ECOWAS Community Court, have put together a 4-day training session for state attorneys, specifically principal state attorney, senior state attorney, and other lawyers from the Office of Attorney General to be able to represent Ghana at the ECOWAS Court and deal with cases that will come before the courts. This training is supposed to equip the participants to be able to understand the rules, the practices, and also the procedure involved in dealing with cases before the ECOWAS Court in which Ghana is a member. The 4-day training session will also enhance their ability to develop sound legal strategies and arguments in line with the court standard. The head of Legal Services and Research Division of the ECOWAS Court, Apreku Nketia, has been explaining the need for this exercise.
Since they are trained in the Ghanaian procedure and practice, it's quite different from what happened at the ECOWAS court. So you might be a very good lawyer, but if you are not well versed in the practice and procedure of the court, then your knowledge or the application of your knowledge becomes suspect. That is why the biggest challenge to them is what are the procedures that takes place at the ECOWAS court? What is the practice of the court? And we are here to expose them to those practices and then the procedures of the court, so that it will remove any hindrance in the course of trying to do their job as far as ECOWAS Court of Justice is concerned.
Member of Parliament for New Drabin South, Michael Ochubefi, is calling on government to urgently engage exporters and manufacturers in the wake of the 10% tariff imposed on Ghana by the United States. Speaking on State of Affairs, the MP expressed concern that the tariff could destabilize businesses that have already done their financial projections, warning that it could even lead to the collapse of some companies. He emphasized the need for government to step in and provide reassurance, citing countries like China are already taking steps to cushion their exporters and manufacturers from similar trade shocks.
Government must find money to support exporters, but before that, they have to meet with them as soon as possible. This is my key point, and I want you to take note of it. What I am expecting government to do is that government must meet them as soon as possible. Exporters tomorrow, manufacturers tomorrow, engage them and give them hope. Give them hope that government will be by them. And two, government must also find some money to support them, to be able to absorb that part, the 10%. Other countries are doing it. So government must be able to say that, okay, we are to the U.S. market.
It's been a pleasure serving you the morning bulletin. Grateful for your time. My name is Obed Gaglo. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a blessed day.
GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally